I will like to call to order the Oconee County Art and Historical Commission, March 10th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from February 10th, 2022?
Do we have the minutes?
Minutes are on the back of the agenda in the packet.
Oh, in the back, okay.
I so move.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. First item of discussion is a historical marker application. The lynching of Alan Greene, presentation by Josh Johnson, Museum Site Coordinator, the Bart Garrison Agricultural Museum of South Carolina. Welcome.
I'm Josh Johnson. I'm the site coordinator for the Agricultural Museum. And this is my proposal to erect this historic marker concerning the lynching of Alan Greene in Walhalla in 1930. This proposal is for a state historic marker to be erected by the Oconee County Arts and Historical Commission with the intention of telling the history and honoring the memory of Alan Greene, Oconee County's last recognized African-American lynching victim. This marker will help tell a true history of the unlawful murder of Greene and reveal a deeper story about race relations in the black history of Oconee County. On this note, I think it's important to note that of the nearly 24 South Carolina Department of Archives and History markers that we have in the county, only 4 concern African American history, and all of them are schools. This marker would be an important addition to the existing historical markers that we have and concerning the African American community and history in our city and in our county. The potential location that we've discussed would be on the corner of Short Street and Tougaloo in Walhalla, where it's across from the gravel lot right there on Short Street, as this was the site of the former jail. Just to give some historical background, I do want to start with kind of a definition of what a lynching is, because there's a lot of misunderstanding around that. The legal definition is the mob killing of a person suspected of a crime outside of the law. This can include any manner of murder. It is not limited to, the stereotypical image of using a rope. Some more information. Alan Greene, he was born around 1880. He was an African-American citizen of Walhalla who worked for the Oconee Telephone Company and as a supervisor in the Walhalla Street Department. He was a city employee. He was also a volunteer fireman and was credited with saving the town of Walhalla on 2 separate occasions from major fires. In 1929, Walhalla Mayor Robert Valentine was elected on the campaign promise of removing Greene from his job with the city. In 1930, Greene was wrongfully charged with the assault of a white woman and was arrested by Sheriff John Thomas on April 20th and locked in the city jail. During his pretrial hearing, the woman he allegedly assaulted repeatedly testified that he had not committed any crime until her husband finally coerced her into saying Greene assaulted her. Even Sheriff Thomas testified that he believed Greene was innocent. Around 11 p.m. on the night of April the 23rd, a mob gathered at the Chicopee ball field, eager to take Greene from the jail and give him what they considered was his just due. A young man attempted to stop the gathering mob when one of its leaders told the group it's time to get this thing over. There were over 100 men in this lynch mob, some as young as 14 and many of them from Westminster, Seneca, and even neighboring Georgia and North Carolina. The man who attempted to disperse the crowd raced to the jailhouse to warn Sheriff Thomas, but he was too late. As the sheriff came down the stairs, the mob met him at the door. He insisted that they would not have Greene, upon which he was hit with the butt of a pistol and they cracked the sheriff's skull. The mob took Greene out of the jail, down what is now Burns Mill Road, at that time was the old Salem Road, and tied him to a tree outside of West Union. According to eyewitnesses, Greene was tied to this tree, and in the light of the gathered cars, he was shot over 100 times. And his body fell to the ground, and that night a sign was left on the spot. Here Alan Greene got his parole, and here he got his lynch. And you'll see here, this is a copy of Greene's death certificate. Is the stated cause of death was numerous gunshot wounds to the head and body killed by a mob. Around 3 a.m. that night, an undertaker arrived from Seneca to take Greene's body, and within the week, he was given a nighttime burial in an unmarked grave. The aftermath of this, of the over 50 white men indicted for Greene's murder, only 17 of them went to trial, including Mayor Robert Valentine and Alvin Jones, the city night watchman. All 17 were acquitted or found not guilty by an all-white jury. Greene's widow was awarded $2,000 by the county for which, when it was proved that he was not guilty of the crime for which he was lynched. Oconee County never paid those damages. The bullet-riddled tree which Greene was murdered in front of was stripped of its bark and wood, and this served as souvenirs of this gruesome crime. After several decades, the headstone was finally placed at Alan Greene's gravesite by his family members. Now that we've kind of gone over the crime, the incident, the history of everything that happened with Mr. Greene, it's important to note that this was not just an Oconee story like so many other lynchings were. This was not on the front page for a day. This reached national news. There were newspaper accounts statewide, all the way up to Maryland and all the way over to California. And the governor of the state was furious. This was the first lynching that had occurred in South Carolina in 6 years. In addition to these contemporary papers, this has come up recently as well. Just last year, the Rhode Island Westerly Sun published an article discussing the Greene lynching. Also last year, the U.S. Department of Education, they run a website called Teaching History, which provides primary sources to history teachers, and the discussion of Greene's lynching is published on that. This is a national funded and nationally known website for assisting public schools. It's also important to note that this would not be the first lynching marker in South Carolina, especially those funded by the Department of Archives and History. There are 2 in Greenville, 1 in Florence County, and 1 in York, all under the DAH program, and there are several funded and written by other organizations throughout the state, with 2 created last year in Greenville County and another 3 on the way. This is an opportunity to discuss another facet of both our county and city history and really look at our past failings and learn from them by erecting this marker. And any questions?
I don't necessarily have any specific questions. I think, history is not always pretty, but it is history. And I think recognizing this does help. It helps tell the story, like you said. It does honor this man who, as you said, was a city employee, had helped as the volunteer firefighter. We've received the application, is in your packet. I'll open it up to the commission if there's any other questions or discussion.
At this point, I have no further questions, and I do express my appreciation for your presentation.
Okay, you did a lot of good research there. So obviously, this would probably easily get approved by the state.
So we have procedurally, if this is something that this commission approves, this background information will all be sent to the State Department of Archives and History. They will write the draft content for the marker and send it back for review. And then once that's finalized, the marker could be awarded. So on our end, from a staff standpoint, we have talked to the Department of Archives and History. They know that there's a possibility that this is coming. We've also talked to the clerk of court and the county to determine the approval for the site, which was requested on South Tugelo and Short Street. That has been approved if you choose to do so. So that's where we are for your consideration in this marker.
And given into our current year's budget, there is funds available to go through the process to purchase
Yes,
if
you
approved?
have the funds, they're about $3,000. You voted for one last month, and then this would be another one. And then you've got a few small expenses in there, so that would take you down roughly $500 remaining minus, what the final cost of the markers end up being.
Any other questions? No questions? Given this, is there a motion the motion would be, is there a motion to recognize and accept
I do,
you make the motion to approve the application?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I second the motion.
and we have a second, okay. So, all in favor, or no, is there any other discussion? No discussion, okay. Now we'll take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your research.
Okay. Our next item of discussion is another Oconee Mural Trail application. In our packets, we have a mural, a proposed mural of defending freedom. Is there any presentation or just to discuss
There's
the
a
application?
presentation. This is inside the Oconee Military Museum. So it's, I believe, when Mr. Feaser was here last month or the month before, he spoke about it. And we communicated, and I got in the application to bring forth to the committee. Upon your approval, we will get all the information sent and get it uploaded to the website.
Does the fact that this is, one of the questions is it located on public or private property? The application states that it's on private.
We have others that are on private.
Yeah,
so-
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, they're, private property, it's actually,
I wouldn't consider it.
I don't really think it's private property, I think the county owns the building.
Yes, they lease the building
Yeah,
from
so
the
they lease
county
the
and
building from
have
the county.
regular operating hours.
And then the operating hours, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so it might have just been him thinking it wasn't a,
And these are, if I'm not mistaken, on
it's inside on the stairwell.
stairwells.
Yep.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this mural to have it added? We have a motion.
I have a motion, yes.
Is there,
I'll second it.
we have a second. So now we'll open up if there's any questions or discussion, any additional. um, Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item for discussion is the South Carolina American Revolution Sesquicentennial Commission.
Good evening, and I appreciate the opportunity for you having me here. As you all know, the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States is coming up relatively soon. Formally, that would be July 4th, 2026, but there are many things that actually preceded that as well. The state of South Carolina has created a Sesquicentennial Commission to create and promote events and tourism to the state of South Carolina and to encourage more education and information regarding the Southern campaign, of which the state of South Carolina had more skirmishes and battles within its state borders than any other colony at that time. And as you mentioned earlier, history is not always pretty. The state of South Carolina, or the colony of South Carolina was more of a nasty civil war and involving multiple parties, not just the Tories or the British against the Americans. So the state has created their state commission, and they call it the committee, they like to call it the Committee of 99, but it is really the Sesquicentennial SC 250 committee. The process, they have stated, the process of launching a new and independent government in the province of South Carolina formally began on July 6th, 1774, when leading men in South Carolina met in Charleston. Tired of British officials not meeting their needs, the group selected 5 delegates to the First Continental Congress in Philadelphia. At that same meeting, they created the Committee of 99, which soon became the de facto government of South Carolina. The SC American Revolution Sesquicentennial Commission, SC 250, is encouraging each South Carolina county to create their own County 250 committee in their honor. And there should be only one committee for each county. They are proposing that the State Commission will provide a $3,000 grant to foster the creation of this committee. The deadline for applying for that grant is May 13th. There are a couple of things about the committee that I'd like to mention. I have attended one state meeting that described what their intent were, and these are my feelings specifically for it. It is a committee that should consist of a broad range of Oconee residents, representing many individuals interested in history and education, and all age groups, I would hope. I have encouraged the Walhalla Daughters of the American Revolution and the Girl Scouts, and hopefully an Eagle Scout project, to be part of this organizing committee as well, and promote education and encourage as much diversity in the group as we can. The committee would be responsible for organizing and promoting, coordinating, publicizing, and encouraging events in Oconee County related to the 250th anniversary celebration. The committee would also be responsible for encouraging scholarly research into Revolutionary War period persons and events in Oconee County. And one of the things that is about this county specifically within the Revolutionary period had to be the relationship with the Cherokee Indian tribes and their relationship with the British as one of the parties. And we've certainly spoken with Lyle Luther and the Cherokee Museum, again, would like to encourage events and work with the Indian tribes as well to learn all about their participation and their view of the history of that war. The committee may also be involved in creating permanent museum exhibits, maybe, to represent the history of the American Revolution and the significance to the upstate of South Carolina, working with existing museum organizations on a scholarly and financial basis, perhaps, because there will be other grants available as well to these committees, depending on what projects they incur. Committee emphasis also will be on, specifically on education regarding the Southern Campaign and Oconee County events, and everybody who participated in the war, the Whigs, the Loyalists, Native Americans, neutrals, and the settlement of Oconee County following the war with the Bounty Land grants. So we'd also like to be able to work with the Oconee County Parks and Recreation and Tourism Commission to publish and promote the 250 celebration events and encourage more people to come and visit Oconee County and be a part of this great place where we live, and to see it and take advantage of the things that we do here. There are a couple of preliminaries that we need to do. One, we need to verify that that this county does not already have a committee, which I don't believe it does. We need to reach out to the SC 250 committee, state committee, for guest speakers and help with organizing the group. To that end, I would like to invite one of the state commission members, or perhaps the commission director, to come up and give a presentation here as well. We need to gather our county stakeholders to make sure that we are being intentionally inclusive. We need to complete the contact information spreadsheet, and I've had some discussion a bit with Melody, who has graciously volunteered to help with the grant process and filling out those forms. I'm not terribly good at forms filling out from the state, which is why I don't do my own taxes. So we would like to give the committee an official name. I personally like the Oconee County 250 America Committee of 99, but that's something we can discuss as well. And we will need to have the county commission, county commission create a resolution supporting that. So we'd have to present that to the county council as well. And then submit an organizing grant request to the SC Sesquicentennial Committee with Melody's help. And then Phil has also graciously said that he would like to, has had some interest from a couple of individuals, like to publicize the start of it and get some people in a room and decide preferably how to proceed from there. So I would like to open this up for your discussion, so that perhaps next month we can make a motion to actually create the committee and have somebody from the state organization come and give a presentation and get our grant process in order to make sure that we make the May 13th deadline.
So how many counties have already applied, or?
Quite a few, I know. I don't know the exact number, and I haven't really spoken with the state, but I know that there are a number of counties that are well ahead of us in getting going on this. And as I have mentioned before, there are certain counties like Cherokee County that has 3 Revolutionary War battlefield sites, national battlefield sites, which is the only county in the country that has that. They obviously have gotten a very big head start on this and have gotten a big grant already.
So with this is just one, they're offering one grant, but depending on the project, there are additional grants possibly available?
Definitely. Definitely. They have budgeted a fair amount of state funds and other resources to provide for various projects, and especially geared towards education and scholarly research and tourism within the state.
And so,
The initial startup is $3,000.
Right. Yes.
And that's county.
That's per county, yes. Once you submit that grant request and put together a committee and we start the organizing process, we will get that $3,000 stipend or grant.
Now, there was mention that as far as you knew, that this was the only committee.
As far as I knew,
to your
yes.
knowledge, okay.
As far as I knew, that will have to be verified, obviously, with the state organization, with the state commission. But any of the committee requests would have required a resolution from the county council. So I don't think they have passed one at this point.
Right, the reason I asked that, if moving forward with it, okay, and I think you answered part of the question, I mean, what opportunities must be taken in order to get at the head of the line in the unlikely event that there are more than
Yes.
one application.
Yeah, and that is why I've come to this committee, because it is the Arts and Historical Commission for the state, for the county. I think that this is the appropriate place to really sponsor that kind of committee to promote those events and bring it forward to the county council.
In order to reach out to the state, who can do that to find out if another committee has expressed interest, I guess is truthfully my question.
I can do
Yes.
that.
Well,
I can do that.
you can request from each county, the one person or one group from each county, you are guaranteed to get the funds. In the South Carolina. So, you have to just put it out there and then we'll get it. That's how it goes.
Right. And thank you, Phil, for volunteering to find out whether or not there is another application out there, but I don't believe that.
Yeah, I
But
can
there
reach out
probably
to the-
isn't.
I can reach out to the state committee. And I spoke to Dave previously, right before the meeting started. I'd like for, as a staff recommendation, just to advise that we take this as information. He wants to invite a commissioner up to the April meeting. We can ask more questions. That also gives us a month to pull together some stakeholders and give them a chance to communicate with each other and kind of have a little better gelled group back at the April meeting and kind of all be going in the same direction instead of potentially having some different things, different directions going. So if that pleases the commission, then maybe we can work on an April visit from the
Yes.
state commissioner and then revisit this again.
Would you?
I do believe they will be very amenable to coming and giving a presentation. They have traveled quite extensively.
Okay.
Do you,
Yep, running out of time, so that's definitely.
well, that was gonna be my question, was if the due date is May 13th, and if I'm, stepwise, if I'm getting this straight, the ask is for the commission to sponsor or to help present to the county council
Right.
the resolution.
It is my belief it would be good if the Arts and Historical Committee or Commission sponsored the committee, made the application to the, or the request to the county council to pass the resolution, and then make the application to the state.
And then, so what we're asking from Phil as a staff recommendation is for him to spend some time to get all the stakeholders on the same track, come back at our next meeting in April with the state representative,
Yes.
ask any additional questions, and then that is at the time we would make a motion if choosing to go forward.
Yes. And are you understanding that we need the resolution prior to the grant request?
Yes.
So I can follow up on all of that, and if that's the case, we can see what we need to proceed with that.
I think that, Melody, you've studied the state website as well, but I believe that the council resolution is a prerequisite for getting the grant.
I have, you're guaranteed that $3,000,
Yes,
as long as there's nobody else requesting the funds
right.
from Oconee County. So,
But Melanie, the question, I think what we're trying to verify is we need to have county council receive and adopt a resolution, and with all, do they need to have additional readings, or is it just
Resolution is just one.
one? So
So I will, between now and April, I will communicate with our county attorney to make sure that timeline is appropriate. I can also talk with the state commission and make sure that we are within those dates so that we don't miss the
I
grant
think,
deadline.
yeah, I think that.
well, as far as I know, that, nobody else is requesting these funds from Oconee County. Therefore, we're good to go.
But the key point is time-wise. We
Right.
can't apply until county council approves
Well, you know,
the resolution, and if the due date for the grant is May 13th, we have to make sure that we meet county council's meeting schedule where they can actually approve it, but we also want to get stakeholders involved before we actually make
okay.
the motion, which we,
You know, I don't know whatever else has to happen, but I know that we are guaranteed as a body to receive these funds as long as it, you know, as we present it. So I have no idea how to do anything else. I'll leave it up to you guys. But we're guaranteed to get it.
okay. So Phil, do you need us to take, or just
You tell me what you need us to do, and then, but we're guaranteed to get that funding for startup.
I don't think we need any action tonight. I think even bringing it to April, having a plan in place, it could go from April, as long as it's on the radar and have a resolution in prep. I'll confirm all that this week. We can always call a special meeting if we need to.
You know,
Huh.
I will apply, I will do whatever, but we're guaranteed
All right.
to get the funding.
Phil, this is a copy of the sample resolution that the state has. Do you have a copy
I
of
do,
that?
thank you.
That's good, okay, great. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming
Thank
back.
you.
Okay, speaking of, our next meeting will be April 14th at 6 PM here in Council Chambers. With that concludes our agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Before we do that, there was mention that April 14th might not work. Is that something that needs to be discussed?
Oh, that's a good point. So we currently have 2 vacancies, and having a quorum is of utmost importance. So I know it's a month out, but
And I know that I will not be present.
so.
Do we want to look at the 7th or the 21st? That would be the first or the third Tuesday rather than the second.
The 7th would be an option for me, the 21st will not.
Is the 7th enough time for us to get everything?
It's 4 weeks.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
I'm okay with 7th.
Should be.
Okay. I am available on the 7th.
I will have to confirm with the clerk that the room is available. And I can do that tomorrow morning, but if you want to propose April 7th instead of 14th.
I will
I'm
go.
seeing everybody's head shake. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
taking
will.
that as a yes.
Yes, I would,
Okay.
yes.
And that would work with somebody from the state coming? Maybe?
Maybe.
Okay, so we need to check the,
I believe that they will be available.
okay.
Some.
Okay.
Okay. So our next meeting will be tentative, assuming that everything on the scheduling in the room will be April 7th at 6 PM in the council chambers.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay? So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I
Motion?
A motion and a
Second.
second.